Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English news from Djibouti channels. Here are the top stories of our edition tonight. The headlines are the end of the 20th editions of the regional competition for the Holy Quran memorizations. On continental news in Paris, an unprecedented summit to counter cyber hate. That were our top stories, and now let's get to the details. This morning, the People's Palace hosted a ceremony dedicated to the closing of the 20th editions of the regional competition for the memorizations of the Holy Quran, called the Grand Prize of the Head of State. The ceremony took place under the patronage of the Minister of Islamic Affairs, Mr. Mumin Hassan Barre, in the presence of several members of the government, members of the diplomatic corps, and dozens of imams, preachers, and other guests. In addition to Djibouti, about 10 countries from the region attend the competitions. These include the Comoros, Kenya, Somalia, Somaliland, Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, and Yemen, among others. Candidates from different countries compete on 3 levels of memorizations: 10 chapters, 20, and entire of 30 chapters that make up the Quran. As for the rest of this competition, the imams of the contenders in each category. For the 20th Juz Omar Sharmarke of Ali from Djibouti, 20th Juz Abdurrahman Abdul Wahid from Kenya, and finally for the 10th Juz the winner is Bashir Abdullah Muhammad from Somaliland. It should be recalled that the competition, now its 10th edition, has gained the regional recognition and is attracting more and more participants among young people from East Africa countries. This competition, initiated in 1999 by the President of the Republic, aims to encourage young Muslims to better assimilate the precepts of the Holy Quran and to unite them with the noble Muslims' values. During this event, the winner of different categories received several awards from ministers and dignitaries who participated in the closing ceremony of this Quranic event. The president of the jury, Sheikh Anwar Ali Abdi, underlined the importance of these regional competitions for the memorization of the Quran initiated by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Umar Gili, in order to give young people the opportunities to showcase their talents and skills in the memorizations of the Holy Quran. In his speech, Sheikh Anwar reviewed the mechanism of conducting the competitions and the standards that have been set to evaluate participants in the competition from many countries. For his part, the director of Muslim Affairs, Mr. Al-Saleh Ahmed Abdullah, said that this competition, which is 20th year, is under the high patronage of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Umar Gili. Mr. Al-Saleh Ahmed Abdullah took this opportunity to thank the Minister of Islamic Affairs, Culture, for his guidance in order to successfully complete these competitions. He finally congratulated the candidates who were at the head of competition, stressing that the ministry will continue its effort to promote these competitions. The Minister of Muslim Affairs, Culture and Waqf delivered a speech in which he highlighted the support and contentions given to the regional contest, the memorization of the Quran by the President of the Republic, welcoming the effort made by the commissions in charge of organizing this annual Quranic festival during the month of Ramadan. This session has its own advantage. It represents the 20th sessions of the regional Quranic competition created in the initiative of His Excellency Mr. Ismail Umar Gili to affirm Mr. Mumin Hassan Barre. He recalled that the country has become the beginner of the Quran during the Quranic month, and this reinforced the role of religious institutions and imam pressures in the exercises of their missions to in society in a sphere of moderation, tolerance, and transparency. The Minister of Muslim Affairs, Waqf and Wolfgeld, said that this place competition encourage young people to memorize the Quran by instilling in them values such as kindness and generosity. The new Minister of Justice and Penitentiary Affairs in charge of human rights, Ali Hassan Bahdon, visited the headquarters of Corps of Auditors on Thursday. He was welcomed by the first president of the Corps, Mrs. Ismahan Mahmoud Ibrahim, the public prosecutors at the Corps of Auditors, Mrs. Madiba Ismail. The Corps of Auditors is the supreme audit institutions of the Republic of Djibouti. As such, it has supervisory and judicial powers. The minister has immersed himself in various organs of the Corps of Auditors, where he met the Secretary General, the President of Chambers, and the Judge of the High Financial Court. Bearing in mind that the organization of the Corps is currently structured around the cabinet of the First President of the General Secretary of three permanent chambers, which are the Chamber of State Finance, the Chamber of Public Institutions and Companies, as well as the Chamber of Budgetary Discipline and the Public Prosecutor's Office of the Corps of Audit. The head of the Corps of Auditors have given the minister some insight into the functioning and organizations of the Corps and the legal framework of its control. The minister was accompanied in this move by several senior officials of his ministry, in particular the Secretary General, Mr. Maki Omar Abdul Qadir, the Director of Legislations, Mr. Ahmed Usman Hashi, as well as the Director of the Arab Department, Mr. Farah Saeed Noor. The visit of the keeper of seals was closed by the taking of a family photo. It was yesterday in Saudi, where the delegation led by the Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, Mr. Ilyas Musa Dawali, was received by the President of the Islamic Development Bank, Dr. Bender. During this important meeting, it was discussed to strengthening the cooperations between the IDP Group and the Republic of Djibouti in the area of digital economy, including Djibouti Telecoms, the $26.4 million project known as Djibouti Africa Region Express. This is a Djibouti initiative whose implementations will enable the people and businesses of the region to have access to high-speed internet. Program include the Zero Slum program and training the health system with a focus on maternal, newborn, and child health. Thus, the Islamic Financial Service will support the Republic of Djibouti its socio-economic transformation. It should be noted in passing that the Minister is leading an important delegation composed the Director of Partial Guarantee Funds, Mr. Aoud Ali, and the Director of External Financing, Mr. Ali Mohammed, as well as Mr. Qasim Haroun, and the Director of Legal Affairs of Djibouti Telecom. The Minister of Health, Mr. Mohammed Warsamedi, received this morning the OEM representatives, Mrs. Lalini Vrasami, as part of the strengthening the partnership of the health sector with the UN institutions. It should be noted that the meeting with the IOM representatives was held in the presence of Secretary General Dr. Saleh Benoit Trab and several senior officials from the health department. The highlights of the discussions was the project funded by the European Union through IOEM, which is aimed to provide sustainable solutions for the most vulnerable host population, refugees, and migrants. This project has several campaigns, including strengthening health facilities, the mobile patrol, and improving the information system, as well as preventions and awareness raising activities for the benefit of the host population and migrants. To this end, the Minister of Health, Mr. Mohammed Warsa Madiri, welcomed the commitment of the International Organization for Migrations as a privileged partner of the Department of Health, particularly in the implementation of the response plan against many fields. Also, as part of his contact, the Minister of Communication in charge of Post and Telecommunication, Mr. Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon, visited the headquarters of the National Communication Commissions, known as the CNC. The minister, upon his arrival, received warm welcome from the member of the commissions headed by Mrs. Ulufa Ismail Abdo. After a guided visit to the Commission's premises, the Minister met with members of the CNC, explained to him the objectives of the Diet Commission, which is responsible for ensuring respect for pluralism of information with a view to strengthening democratic expressions in communications in the Republic of Djibouti. This independent entity ensure pluralism of information for all political actors and equitable access within the media landscape. It should be recalled that the minister was accompanied by several senior officials from his office. The Minister of Labor in charge of administration reform, Mr. Usman Ibrahim Roble, received this morning in his office the United States Ambassador to Djibouti, Mr. Larry Andre, accompanied by the representative of the USAID, Mrs. Rabia. Mr. Larry Andre took the opportunity to congratulate the minister on his recent appointment as head of the ministerial department and wishes him a successful term of office. He also confirmed his satisfaction with the excellent diplomatic relations between the United States and the Republic of Djibouti. The ambassador confirmed to the minister the strengthening of the cooperation on the national employment program, particularly in the employability of youth through the USAID. For his part, the Minister of Labor, Mr. Usman Ibrahim Roble, thanked him for his commitment to promote collaboration between his ministerial department and USAID. He added to his remarks the importance of removing obstacles to activity concerning the issues of youth employability to contribute the country's development. This meeting, which marks a new area in relations between Minister of Labor and USAID, the Secretary General, Mr. Abdullah Ali Mohammed, the Director General of NFIP, Mr. Mahmoud Omar Gile, the Communication Advisor to the Minister, Mr. Khadir Omar Khanile, attend this meeting. The Ambassador of Guardian of the two Holy Mosques, Mr. Abdulaziz bin Abdullah Al-Matar, organized last night the collective iftar, which takes place at Kampeski Hotel Palace. On the occasions this month of Ramadan, the President of the National Assembly, Mr. Muhammad Ali Hamad, the Minister of Islamic Affairs, Culture and Waqf, Mr. Mumin Hassan Barre, the Minister of Defense, Mr. Hassan Umar Muhammad, the Minister of National Education, Mr. Mustafa Muhammad Mahmoud, as well as the Mayor of Djibouti, Mrs. Fatuma Awal Usman, and several other personalities were invited to this so-called collective iftar. Ambassadors from Arab and Islam countries, including the Dean of Diplomatic Corps, the Ambassador of the State of Palestine, Mr. Kamil Qazaz, representative of the NGOs operating in the country, and other distinguished guests also attend this collective iftar. In accordance with the decree number 2018, the Director of Customs and Indirect Tax informs operator of the port-free zone who had not transformed their activity to the DFZ that all goods on the site will be seized as from Tuesday 21. In the morning of Wednesday, the Regional Council of Tajura distributed the leaving granted by the First Lady, Mrs. Khadra Mohammed Hay, in the localities of Dura and Karabtu sub-prefecture. Transport was provided by the army of Tajura, including Colonel Ali Shihim, who mobilized the convoy to bring them to a safe place so that the distribution take place at the right time. The president of the Regional Council of Tajura, Mr. Umar Hussein, and finally thanked the First Lady, Mrs. Khadra Mohammed Hay, for her noble help granted to the most deprived families of the Dora sub-prefecture. Finally, the beneficiaries' population warmly thanks the First Lady, who thought of them for this blessed month of Ramadan. Birth registrations of a fundamental act because it marks the beginning of the child legal and societal existence. It's why the Obah Regional Council, in collaborations with the Minister of Women and Family and facilitated mainly by the Minister of Decentralization, has conducted awareness raising campaigns to call on parents to register their children from birth. These efforts are willing results since more and more mothers are currently going to the civil registry office at the Obah Region Council to register their children. In addition, parents often waited for children to reach school age to register them. Today, with awareness raising, those living in the capital city withdraw their birth certificate between 3 days and a week after childbirth, compared to about 2 months for the population in remote area, except for those in sub-prefecture of Alaylu and Korangar, whose certificates are issued locally. To benefit from legal protections, it's therefore essential to be registered, because otherwise the child is deprived for his and her most basic right, such as the right to education, to health, and even the right to have a family well-being. For the service president of the Regional Council, Mr. Ahmed Sheikh, it's above all questions for respecting and preserving the right of the children of Obah, as the case in all regions. Onto the region. Since the beginning of Ramadan, after Dakhil, RTD teams arrived yesterday morning by sea in Obah. These team have been referring to reports already site since last Monday. The convoy immediately went to the prefecture before identifying the previously identified sites, composed of about 20 members, including technicians, sales agents, and journalists, to prepare the live broadcast of this Thursday evening from Hayu. The program includes the live broadcast of the collective prayer of Taraweeh, Qasaid, and games in the form of questions of religions. Another important fact is that RTD, since the renovations of power amplifications of day really intend that has thought to enable to inhabitants of the region to benefit from DTT decoders in order to enable them to access national program. It's an exceptional promotional offer made as part of the RTD caravan. It's this sense that a team has been mobilized to inform the people, the citizens of Obah, the availability of these decoders. With the help of a car equipped with a loudspeaker, they have been driving around the city of Obah for 3 days to call the inhabitants to come and enjoy this offer. As a result, several dozen people came to the RTD and 10 in the region. The agent mobilized for this purpose welcomed them and recorded them on an information sheet prepared for the occasion of a sheet mentioning in particular the address of the beneficiaries and other successful operation. Therefore for Obak, where most households now receive and follows RTD program. Next stop Al Sabih, then Arta, and finally Tajura. And now let's move on continental news in Libya, where Marshal Khalifa Haftar's troops continue their offensive on the capital Tripoli, defended by the soldiers of the government of national unity led by Faiz al-Sarraj. The latter went to Brussels to obtain the support of the Arab Union, the support of the European leaders call for an immediate ceasefire in Libya and consider that the offensive launch on Tripoli constitute a threat to international peace and security. It has been more than a month since the troops of Marshal Haftar, the strong man from the Libya East, launched this offensive with a view to taking the Libyan capital. His rival Faiz al-Sarraj is supported by the United Nations, by the Libyan leaders, who has started a diplomatic marathon, is waiting for a strong signal from the international community. Here we write the end of this news edition. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.